Good evening. The day is over now, and there is nothing left for you to do. Wherever you are resting, let yourself sink down a little deeper. Let the bed hold you. Let the pillow take the whole weight of your head so that your neck has nothing left to carry. Take a slow breath in and let it out even more slowly, as though you were setting something heavy down on the floor beside you. Whatever the day asked of you, you have already given it. You do not have to keep holding it now. Let your shoulders soften and drop just a little away from your ears. Let your jaw loosen. Let the small muscles around your eyes grow quiet and still. Tonight I am going to tell you an old story, one that has been whispered beside rivers and under stars for thousands of years. You do not have to remember it. You do not have to follow every word. Just let my voice be like the slow current of a calm river, carrying you gently downstream towards sleep. Long ago, in a green and gentle land called Vrindavan, there flowed a river named the Yamuna. The cowherds and their families loved this river the way you love something that has always been there. Its water was clear and sweet. The children splashed in its shallows in the warm afternoons. The cows wandered down to its banks in the golden light of evening and drank their fill, and the women filled their pots, and the river gave and gave, asking nothing in return. But there was one bend in the river, a deep dark pool curled away from the rest, and something had gone wrong there. A great serpent named Kalia had come to live in that pool. He was an enormous creature with many hooded heads, and from each of his mouths came a venom so strong that it had turned the water of that pool black. Birds that flew over it would not land. The leaves of the trees that leaned above it had withered and curled. And worst of all, when the cattle wandered down to drink, or when a tired cowherd cupped his hands to the water, the poison made them ill, and they would stumble back to the village pale and trembling. The people grieved for their river. They could not understand how something so dear, something that had only ever given them life, could now carry harm. They stood at the edge of the dark water and looked at it sorrowfully, and they did not know what to do. And so they simply kept their children away and kept their cattle away, and the bright river that had been the heart of their days carried a shadow in it now. Feel for a moment how that is. There are days that leave a little of that dark water in us too. A worry that turns the clear pool of the mind cloudy. A heaviness we carry home without quite knowing how to set it down. You know this. And tonight you will see how gently such a thing can be soothed and cleared. But before we go on, let the rest of your body settle the way the village settled into its evening. Let your breath grow a little slower and a little deeper. Feel your feet far away at the end of the bed growing warm and heavy. Let that heaviness rise slowly up through your legs, loosening your knees, softening your hips, until your whole lower body feels as though it is gently sinking into the soft earth of a river bank in the cool of the dusk. Let your hands rest, palms open, the day's small gripping finally let go. There is nowhere you need to be but here, on the bank of this old river, listening. Picture that land for a moment as it was at evening. The sky over Vrindavan, turning soft shades of rose and gold. The cattle wandering home in slow, contented lines, their bells ringing quietly. Smoke rising in thin blue threads from the cooking fires. The smell of warm earth and cow's milk, and night-flowering jasmine on the air. It was a gentle place, where the days were simple and the nights were deep and full of stars. Now in that land there lived a young boy, dark as a rain cloud, with a peacock feather in his hair and a flute tucked into his belt, and eyes full of a strange and tender light. His name was Krishna. He was beloved by everyone, for though he was only a child, there was something about him that was older and wider than the sky. And when Krishna saw his people grieving for their poisoned river, his heart was moved with compassion. One warm afternoon, while the others rested in the shade, Krishna walked down alone to the dark bend of the Yamuna. On the bank there grew a tall kadamba tree, its branches reaching out over the black pool. Krishna climbed it lightly, the way a breeze climbs through leaves, until he stood high on a branch above the water. He tightened the cloth at his waist. He looked down at the dark pool, not with anger, not with fear, but with the calm of someone who already knows that all will be well. And then he leapt. He fell through the warm air and struck the water, and the whole pool surged and rippled outward in great rings. The sound of it reached the village, and the people came running to the bank, their hands pressed to their hearts, afraid for their beloved boy. Deep in the dark water, the serpent Kaliya stirred. He felt the splash, felt this small bright presence in his pool, and he rose up in his old fury. He wound his great coils around the boy, loop after heavy loop, squeezing, certain that nothing could withstand him. But here is the wonder of it. Krishna did not fight, and Krishna did not panic. He simply began, very gently, to expand. He grew light and grew large, the way a breath fills a chest, until the coils that had bound him could no longer hold, and they loosened and slipped and fell away. And Krishna rose up out of the water, free. What happened next, the cowherds would tell their grandchildren for the rest of their lives. Krishna stepped up lightly onto the broad hoods of the great serpent, and there, upon those many heads, he began to dance. It was not a battle. It was a dance. His small feet moved across the serpent's hoods as lightly as raindrops falling on a leaf. The little bells on his anklets rang out, a clear silvery sound floating up over the dark water, a sound like laughter, like the first bird song of morning. Round and round he turned, his arms curving like the branches of a tree in a soft wind, and the rhythm of his dancing feet pressed down, gently and steadily, on the proud heads of Kaliya. On the bank, the cowherds who had come running stopped, and their fear melted away, and they began to smile, and then to laugh softly with wonder and delight. For there was their beloved boy, not in danger at all, but dancing upon the heads of the great serpent as easily and joyfully as if he were dancing in a sunlit meadow. The flute notes and the anklet bells mixed together over the water, and some of them began to clap a soft, slow rhythm, and the whole dark and frightening pool became, in that moment, a place of music and grace. And slowly beneath that dance, the great serpent began to grow tired. Not crushed, not broken, only softened, the way the hardest knot in your shoulders softens when warm hands work it loose. All the venom and all the fury that he had carried for so long began to drain out of him. His many heads, which had reared up so proudly, began to bow, one after another, low toward the water. There was no violence in it. The boy did not strike the serpent or wound him. He only danced, lightly and steadily, his small bare feet moving across those great hoods, and beneath that gentle weight, the old pride simply could not stand. It was as though the dancing itself were a kind of forgiveness, pressing not to break but to release, working loose the long-held venom, the way the warm sun works loose a winter's frost from the frozen ground. Bow by bow, head by head, the serpent grew calm, until at last he lay still and weary upon the water, all his rage spent, with nothing left in him but a quiet readiness to be free of the burden he had carried so long. Now Kalia had wives, gentle serpent queens, who lived in the river with him. When they saw their lord grown weary and humbled beneath the feet of this radiant boy, they rose to the surface of the water, and they folded their hands and they prayed. Softly, sweetly, they pleaded for mercy. He has been proud, they said, and he has done harm, but spare him now, for he is ours and we love him. Be gracious, they prayed. Be kind. And Krishna, who had never wished harm at all, who had come only to heal and never to destroy, listened to their prayer. His dancing slowed and grew still. He looked down at the weary serpent with eyes full of compassion, and there was no anger left in him, if there had ever been any at all. Kalia, what was left of his pride now melted into peace, bowed his tired heads and asked to be forgiven. And Krishna forgave him. He told the serpent to leave the gentle river and to go away to the wide open ocean, where his venom could do no harm, where the great salt waters were vast enough to hold him and ask nothing of him. Go in peace, Krishna told him. You are released. And the serpent queens bowed in gratitude, and Kalia gathered his great coils and slipped away down the river and out toward the distant sea, carrying his old darkness far from the people who lived here. And the pool, the dark bend of the Yamuna that had carried poison for so long, grew clear again. The black water lightened. The leaves on the Kadamba tree unfurled. The next morning the birds came back and skimmed low over the surface, and the children waded in again, and the cattle drank without harm, and the river was sweet and clear and whole, healed all the way through, as if the darkness had never been there at all. Now let that stay with you as you drift. The boy did not destroy what frightened the people. He danced upon it lightly until its poison drained away and its proud head bowed, and it was sent gently on to a place where it could rest and do no more harm. That is how the darkness leaves. Not by force, by grace. So whatever small drop of poison the day left in you, whatever worry has been curling in the deep dark bend of your mind, you can let it be soothed now. You do not have to fight it. You do not have to wrestle it down. Let it loosen the way the serpent's coils loosened. Let it bow and quiet and slip away towards some wide ocean far from here, while something gentle and light dances softly over the waters of your mind until they grow clear. Imagine your own mind as that river now. All day long, things have stirred it up, troubled it, clouded it. But the river does not have to stay clouded. By its own quiet nature, when the trouble is sent gently on its way, it clears. The mud settles. The darkness drifts downstream and out to the great forgiving sea. And what is left is clear, still water, holding the reflection of the moon and the slow turning stars. That clearing is happening in you, right now, with nothing required of you, but to lie here and let it. Let the dancing feet move across the surface of every fear, lightly, lightly, until each one bows its head and grows calm. Let the silver bells ring out softly over the dark places, turning them gentle. There is no enemy here to defeat. There is only an old weariness to release, an old poison to let drain away, until your whole inner river runs clear and sweet again, healed all the way through. Feel how heavy your body has become now, sinking into the bed like a stone, settling to the bottom of a still and clearing pool. Feel your breath slow, in and out, like the calm current of a healed river moving toward the sea. There is nothing left to carry. There is nothing left to clear. It is all becoming quiet and sweet and clean. Let your hands rest open. Let your feet grow warm and far away. Let the last thoughts of the day drift downstream, one by one, until there is only the soft sound of the water and the silver ringing of distant bells, fading and fading. The water has cleared. The birds have come home to it. The children are sleeping now in the houses along the bank, and the river runs slow and sweet beneath the stars, carrying nothing but moonlight. You are part of that quiet too. You are one more sleeping thing held gently in the great green hush of that land, watched over, asked for nothing, perfectly safe. The river is clear now. The river is at peace. And so are you. Rest now. Breathe slow. Good night.